This is a Buddhist artifact showing Buddha's Virgin Mother Maya being impregnated by a lunar elephant, and this statue shows the Egyptian goddess Isis, the Virgin Mother of Horus, crowned with a lunar orb. Early pagans recognized the synchronicity between the moon and the reproductive and cleansing cycles of a woman, and Mother Nature in general. Thus the pagan term for a woman's menstrual cycle is moon cycle. Before the advent of modern night lighting, a woman's menstrual cycle was observed to be in line with the moon cycles, and experiments have proven the effect of night lighting in altering a woman's menstrual cycle. One of the oldest moon gods was called Men, spelled M-E-N, hence the word men in menstrual. Pagans also had a trinity divided within the moon: the waxing maiden or virgin, the full mother or ovulation, and the waning crone or postmenopausal, representing the life cycle of a woman. So the other Christian trinity of the Father, Son and Holy Ghost is simply the rain, sun and moon, all integral players in the conception of life on earth. The Christian day of worship of the leading solar deity is of course Sunday, but Judaism, however, has Saturday as the day of rest and worship to God. Saturday is named after the planet Saturn, so are Jews actually worshipping Saturn?
Israel, Lebanon, today was many thousands of years ago referred to as Cana, and their primary god in the land of Cana was the planet Saturn. And Saturn was called the Black Sun, or the Black Planet. Therefore, the priests of Saturn would wear black robes. They were the Saturnalian priesthood. This is why when your children graduate from high school or college today, they still wear the black robe, the same black robe that the judge wears, the same black robe the Catholic priest wears. The Hebrew term for Saturn was El, E-L, and El gives us the basis for so many words that are used in court today. If you were an official in that religion, you were referred to as an elder. If you are elected, you are now one of the elites. Archaeology has found many temples in what we today call Israel. They have found the planet Saturn with the rings around it. This is why men were told to get married before their father, Saturn, the god of rings. So you wear a wedding ring. Rings go back to the ring of Saturn. And Saturn's symbol in the old ancient digs that we're finding was two triangles interlaced, one going up and one pointing down, coming together, called the Star of Saturn, or Saturn's star. And today we call it the Star of David, but it's a six-pointed hexagram. A six-pointed hexagram was called the Star of Saturn. It was the official insignia of the god called Saturn.
This is the Greek titan Cronus, the god of Saturn, holding a sickle associated with harvesting and the Grim Reaper, or Father Time. During what is called the Golden Age of Man, a mythical age when Saturn was said to have ruled, there was a festival called Saturnalia, celebrated on the winter solstice. Saturnalia was a pagan end-of-harvest festival dedicated to the god Saturn, which today we call Christmas. The name Saturn evolved from the name Satan, being the name of the original pagan sun god during the so-called Golden Age of Man. In the Bible, we are told how God cast Satan out of heaven. In other words, the Church's disdain for paganism resulted in the demonization or removal of Satan as a sun god to the back of the then-known classroom, the planet Saturn. So Jews and Christians actually worship Satan, and Satanists are really worshipping the sun. Satan is not some evil demonic entity. Satan is simply the personification of Saturn, formerly the sun. Islamic religion differs slightly again from Christianity and Judaism, and has their special day of worship on a Friday. This is a picture of the Islamic symbol, and it could be mistaken that Muslims follow a lunar deity. But notice how the star in the crescent sits within the sphere. The moon is not the only planet we can see at night with the crescent, for under the right conditions, with the naked eye, one can also see the crescent phase of the planet Venus. Every day of the week has been linked to a god and a celestial body, and Friday is linked to the pagan goddess Freya of Venus, formerly known as Ishtar. The crescent in the Islamic symbol is the planet Venus, and the star is Venus as the morning star. This is a photo of the ancient Babylonian god called Sin, often mistaken to be a moon god. Yet notice the upward crescent and inner star. In older artifacts of Sin, we find that the star is not present in the crescent, meaning at some point the symbol evolved a duality, representing the two visual facets seen of Venus. Sin is the personification of the crescent of Venus, and his daughter named Ishtar, the sexually promiscuous goddess of Venus, is the morning star. Absorbed by Islam, the pagan god Sin morphed into Allah, and Ishtar morphed into Allah's daughter known as Al-Uzza. In ancient Rome, the statue of Venus was changed to Mary, and Ishtar is the original template for the now clean and pure virginal mothers. Islamic religion's holiest shrine is the Kaaba in Mecca, which contains the Black Stone of Allah, apparently presented to Adam and Eve by Allah for their original sin. It is written that the black stone descended from paradise much whiter than milk, but it was turned black by the sins committed by mankind. The black stone, also known as the right hand of Allah, is simply a meteorite that fell to earth during the night, and represents the sensual goddess Venus. The black stone of Venus is set within a yoni on the Kaaba, and Muslims are encouraged to touch and kiss it. Yoni is the Sanskrit word for place of birth or womb, and it is also the Hindu word for vagina. It's a beautiful thing. Allah the Father God also represents the lifeblood of water and rain, and Muhammad personifies the sun, and together they performed many miracles multiplying crops and quenching the thirst of people, just like Jesus the Son and his clouded father did. Muhammad was born around the year 570 AD, but was not born of a virgin mother and may have been a real person, with plagiarized miracles attached to him to create a new religion from the Roman Catholic and pagan influences around him. Muhammad apparently received his revelations from the angel Gabriel, who was a holy Christian creation. The black square represents the planet Saturn, and the orbiting pilgrims represent the rings of Saturn. Saturn symbolizes the evil Muslims must cleanse themselves of. The same original founding sin that messed up the whole game, consuming the knowledge of good and evil, and consuming the knowledge that one's natural body is shameful, thereby losing one's innocence and 0 point infinite potential. The ancient symbol for Venus is the pentagram, and this artifact shows a pentagram and hexagram depicting Venus and Saturn together with the Sun and the all-seeing eye of Providence. In the Bible, Venus the morning star is also linked with Satan, hence the evil pentagram, but their relationship is purely maternal because Satan, aka Saturn, was once the son of Venus. So Christians worship the sun on Sunday, Jews worship Saturn on Saturday, and Muslims worship Venus on Friday, and the all-seeing eye of natural law sees the three religions as the one astronomical planetary dance. Monday is of course the moon's day, and though no religion has its Sabbath on a Monday, the Buddhist Sabbath called Uposatha is observed on Pacific moon phases several times a month. Buddha's day of birth, death and reincarnation is celebrated in late spring during the full moon in May. Hinduism does not follow a Sabbath, but it does contain a holy family trinity and a male lunar deity, with Chandra personifying the moon, and Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva personifying the rain, the sun and Venus. The number 7 features throughout most religions, so where in nature under natural law do we find the number 7? The sun plus the other planets visible to the naked eye amount to 7, and the 7 have been revered throughout the ages. The natural cycles of the planets the pagans worshipped has been secreted into the foundations of many religious texts. But according to Article 2 of the UN Treaty for Outer Space, the moon and other celestial bodies shall be free from any claim of national appropriation. Thus it could be construed that nations under the institutional influence of religion are breaking Article 2 via their claim of ownership and warlike obsession over lunar, solar, Saturnalian and Venetian deities. Christ means Messiah, and in Latin the word Messiah means Messorus, the time of harvest and reaping. So for those people still waiting for their Messiah to return, your Messiah can be found in what you sow and reap every year. From an agricultural point of view, the candidate for the Antichrist is a corporation against the natural harvest.